So today I'm building in Henford on Bagley and I am recreating Tamala's house from Palia. So if you played the game, you could probably see the resemblance in the little intro video of the build. But if you haven't played the game at all, Tamala is an alchemist who lives in the outskirts of like the main village in Palia. It's a great game. I became obsessed with it pretty quickly. It took over my entire day for like a week straight. I've managed to like tone it down a little bit and now only play a little bit each day. But it's a really fun game and I love this style of builds in the world in there. And it reminds me a lot of like Realm of Magic and stuff. And I knew that I wanted to try and build one of these houses, but I wasn't sure which one. And my friend was talking about Tamala's house and how it would look really nice in The Sims and how it could probably be replicated pretty easily in The Sims. And so I went with that one for my first. I don't know if I'm not making promises I'm going to do another one. I want to. This took me a really long time and it was a bit of a struggle because when I have to like build something and I have to keep looking back at like a reference image to replicate it closely, I start getting stressed out, and this one took me so long because I kept, like, getting in my head about it, and the interior, I just like, it took me a long time to really like the interior. I also demolished this build at one point to restart, and I could not restart, so I was glad that I had saved this progress in, my gallery so that I didn't lose all of it, but I did demolish it because I thought I would be able to recreate it better. And it's not going to be perfect. I definitely see some flaws in it, but this is kind of the closest that I could personally do using the Sims 4 tools. I think it's close enough. I think it captures like the energy of the build and like the magic in it. And mostly I was just prepared to make sure that the roof looked somewhat similar and that I'd have that greenhouse in the front, which I feel like the greenhouse looks really, really good, and that uses items from the new expansion pack. Well, not new, it came out like in December now, but it uses the windows and the roof trim from For Rent, and I thought it looked beautiful with it. I really liked the like pinkish door that I end up using for this. I believe I used the windows too. So in the game, Tamala's house doesn't have too many windows around, so you'll see that the kitchen is pretty dark. I think I end up going back in and adding a little bit of windows to it. I also wanted to like insert a little clip of me running around in the game, like in Palia, so you could kind of see what the house looks like if you aren't familiar with the game. And I think that I made enough progress on this part of the build for it to make some more sense if I like insert just like a brief clip of what the house looks like so you could kind of get an idea of what I was building while I was doing this. So yeah, this is the house in the game. It definitely looks a lot more whimsical. I can't really get a lot of the shapes of like the roof right in The Sims. I could have, I guess, if I tried a lot harder and I spent a lot more time, but that was not something that I was interested in doing. So I was like, I could just do a simplified version of it, and I think that's okay. But I am happy with how it ended up coming out. That was just a short little clip of it. I don't want to like put too much in, but I'll try and maybe insert more clips when I get to specific parts that I feel like are relevant, like some of the interior stuff. Because that's usually like I really was like focused on the video that I took to see like all the little details inside and what kind of furniture I wanted to make it look more like the game. Also, I'm sure that if the game is called Palia, people are probably yelling at me for saying it wrong. That's just like how I guess I learned to say it because I don't know. I've heard everyone say Palia, but if it's Palia, then I'm wrong and I'm going to be saying it wrong for the entirety of the video. So I apologize. I also don't know too much about Tamala's character other than she's an alchemist that lives in the woods and flirts with everybody. Because I haven't really gotten like into a lot of the character development in the game. I've kind of only really developed friendships with a few characters. and also in my little clips, I took that pretty early on, so that was, like, right around when I kinda started playing, so all my levels are pretty low, and I was doing, like, different quests and stuff, but that doesn't really matter if you haven't, like, played the game. Um, but yeah, the house itself, it is like it's almost like a cross shape kind of. And so I like ended up going back after going into the game again. So all of this, like this is the second part right here where I'm adjusting the roof. Everything before this, I was basing it off of a picture that I was looking at from like the like devs art station page, which I'm gonna have linked below for like what the house looks like and stuff. So this part is when I kind of went into the game and I looked to see what it looked like around. So you could see I'm dragging out different parts of the house now. And I really didn't spend much time in this house besides what I did to like see what it looked like. So I really like didn't really know the inside very well, but I got pretty lucky with just like how it ended up flowing and laying out. Like it was pretty much a perfect size. I probably ended up changing it just a little bit to make it either bigger or smaller. I can't remember. Yeah, see, I make it a little bit bigger and it ends up being pretty perfect. The only thing is that like she doesn't have a bathroom in the house in the game. She has a little outhouse and that's it, but I kind of needed to build it a little bit bigger. So I have a bathroom that's like I guess sort of like an outhouse off to the side later because Sims need a bathtub and just having a debug outhouse wasn't going to work. So I throw that in like I guess a little bit later, probably towards the end. I can't really remember how this is laid out. This build took me a lot longer than most of my builds, and I can't tell if it's because I've slowed down my videos just a little bit, like 0.5 speed. I've slowed it down a little bit more. But this footage was like 6 hours, and so it then like sped up to my like speed that I put it on. The footage was around like an hour and 40 minutes, an hour and 50 minutes, which is not usual for my builds. Normally, my builds are anywhere between like 50 minutes to like maximum like an hour 10 minutes sped up. And then I go through and I make a bunch of cuts because sometimes I walk away from my computer while I'm building and stuff and I forget. But this one was like very long. So I did not expect it to come out around a half an hour. I was like, this is going to be a long video. And I don't even know if it's going to render properly because my computer has, it struggles if I'm rendering a video that's like longer than like 40 minutes. And so I was really nervous and I was like, I don't want to split this up into exterior and interior. And I was like, okay, I'll get to that when I have to. I'll see how it all works out. And it ended up working out completely fine. It just took me like a week to edit this because I was taking a lot of breaks while doing it and stuff. My brain has just not been operating the correct way. So it kind of took me a little bit longer to like finish this. And it took me a long time to even finish the build because I was when I have to recreate something, I just get like so caught up on the details and what doesn't look right. And I ended up like really liking the build when I got past that. And I was just like, you know what? Now it's time to make it look good in The Sims. Like you have some of it where it kind of looks like the game, but now you need to make it look nice in The Sims because you can't have both. And then that's kind of when I started to really, really like it. But then I just sent my friend a picture and she was so nice and she was like, wow, I literally thought this was like the like interior pictures were you taking a picture in Palia. And I was like, that's so sweet. Oh yeah, and if you played the game, you know what flow trees are. They're these like glowing purple trees that you have to like gather other people in the server to chop down with you, and you get like these like flow wood planks that are pretty rare. So I only did a couple of those around the house. I thought it would be a nice little touch to have that, and I feel like it worked pretty well with the Realm of Magic glowing orbs. I also used some of those Realm of Magic glowing like magic orbs in the chimney because the chimney has like green like green magical mist coming out of the top in the game, and so I like end up putting it in here. And right now I'm layering the chimney a little bit because I thought it looked more whimsical and it looked more like what the chimneys in the game looked like. And yeah, so you could see I put this here. I was thinking about going back and finding, like, I know that there's some like magical bugs in Outdoor Retreat that gives off really cute effects. And I don't know if I wanna go back in and place them around the inside. I don't see what the point would be since I've already taken all the videos for this, but, in Palia, a lot of, like, the atmosphere comes from, like, the candles, like, the candles are, like, blues and purples, and there's, like, sparks flying off of it, and, like, when you walk into her house in game, it just, like, feels very magical because there's a lot going on in terms of, like, effects and the atmosphere around, and I couldn't capture all of it. I was able to do some of it by playing around with the lighting, so a lot of me, like, making it feel more like the game was going in and changing the colors of the candles, using different, like, wall lights to create different colors around, or not wall lights, ceiling lights, and this is just some of like, the outside decor that was around the place. I kind of had to fit it to the lot itself because I couldn't really, like, do the whole environment of the, like, lot in the game because it wouldn't have worked. So I just added, like, some bushes and different landscaping around to kind of make it look good in The Sims and match this current lot itself. And this is probably the worst part in my opinion. It's this mushroom bench that I was trying to recreate. I'll pull up the clip. It's going to be embarrassing because that is not what it looks like at all. Okay, not as bad as I thought. Still pretty laughable. There's my character laughing at myself. But it was just really difficult to try and get it to look correct. So I just had to like pretend. It kind of just looks like a pile of mushrooms, a bunch of like bushes on top. That's kind of what the bench looked like in the game, except it was a little bit cuter, and the mushrooms were definitely different. Because that one, the bench is clearly made of mushrooms, and this one that I made is just, um, wood with mushrooms covering it, so it's definitely not the same. But this is the interior now. It is a pretty small space. It is just a living room, a kitchen, and I guess, like, a little study area, potion room with, like, greenery and, like, the greenhouse in front. And then there's the bedroom, which I'm going to say the bedroom is probably the worst part of this build. Um, I didn't like have a video of her bedroom because I don't have her key yet where I could gain access to that. So I kind of based it off some pictures, but I think I was running out of momentum because I had spent so much time doing things like this. Like you could see I'm making this cauldron filled with plants and mushrooms because it looks similar to another item in the game, and I end up changing that around a lot. Like, I end up going back and making that cauldron a little bit bigger and changing some things. This is supposed to be another item in the game that has, like, it's like a fishing tackle, thing with, um bushes and, like, greenery, so I grabbed that. Again, over here, I'm trying to make another object that is kind of like a stump with candles on it, and there's, like, a cute almost like a birdhouse over it. This is, like, the one that I struggled with the most. It changes so much. I end up changing the stump out again because I thought this like, the lighting looked too weird on this stump, so I end up making my own, and I kind of, like, scrapped the whole, like, um the, like, exact look of it because I end up just using that item that has the cow plant inside because I thought it looked the best with everything, and so that kinda changed. This is also another item I was trying to make. I guess I'll pull up the room after maybe in, like, a little bit. I just kinda pulled up another part, so I'm gonna wait a second. But I'm really just trying to get the key elements in the room first, and then I go back in and I make it look better in The Sims because, like, I was getting so caught up on the details. I was like, I want these items and I want to remake them and they're gonna look great. And I already had to like change the windows. Like the windows don't really look similar to what it ends up being. I'll pull up the room now then so you could get a better idea of all these little things that I'm doing that makes no sense unless you know what the build looks like. Okay, I'm keeping in a longer video that shows all of the house and the interior so you could get an idea of what I'm trying to do. I'll refer back to this, so if at any point you want to like see what I'm talking about, if I'm referring to this section of the video, I'll have a timestamp that says, hey, this is what the interior is supposed to look like. You could see the cauldron with the plants, that stump I was talking about. This is the greenhouse room that I'm going to get at in a little bit. This one I changed around some of the layout a little bit more because it just like that's when I was like, I need to stop looking at these images so closely and I need to just like start doing what looks the best for me. And so I spent a lot of time showing off all these little details in the build. Like, I knew that it was going to be a struggle recreating some of the stuff because we don't really have things very similar to a lot of this really beautiful furniture. That's what like really got me into the game is how pretty some of this furniture is. And so I did my best on making it in The Sims. Now back to the build. So this is very different for me. I haven't really like went back and forth with videos like this before, so bear with me. I think that's the last time that I'll switch over to gameplay footage of Palia. But that was my character too. I bought a little outfit for her because I thought that I was just like, I don't know, the outfits are so beautiful in that game, but they're so expensive. And so I like really spent a lot of time on stream actually to like decide which one I wanted, and so I settled on one that has little potion bottles on the front. And yeah, this is me realizing I needed to make the room a little bit bigger, so I kind of have to change everything. I cut out me having to replace a bunch of stuff and move everything over again. I don't really like building with platforms in The Sims because it's like it becomes an inconvenience. And I really like, I don't know, even just that little triangle platform raised up where the plant cauldron is. Like, that's too much for me because I had to move everything again. I was like, if this was just a regular room, I could just have expanded that without a problem. But yeah, this like that stump I think is what really got me just like feeling like I can't finish this build correctly. And I was like, "Oh my god, I need to stop getting like caught up on the little tiny details of this build and just start building what I think her house would be like in The Sims instead of in that game." Which I guess is kind of like the important part of recreations is that they're never going to be perfect. So you kind of just have to reach a point where you're like, okay, this is what I think it would be like if I was in charge of this build and it was a whole different game. I do end up changing the couch out. I realized it was the rug and the couch that was throwing me off in that room that I liked the least. This is a pretty long speed build video, so I guess like if you've watched 18 minutes of this and you do play Palia, I'd be interested in knowing who your like favorite characters are and like how you like to play the game and stuff if you do play the game because I've been really enjoying it. It's like I think my new favorite game. So I mostly have just been building on The Sims and doing this game and then also playing Fortnite. But I sometimes I just can't stop thinking about this game. It's such a grind too. Like I cannot make money fast in the game, and so it like feels more like I'm like I have so much that I could do at any sort of point and there's like so much happening, which overwhelmed me at first, but I kind of like to get into it, I knew that I had to like ease into it and just do very simple things at first and not try and rush through things. So really like at the start of the game, I pretty much was doing farming most of the time. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take this very slow and then it builds from there until you find how you like to play it. But yeah, even in this part in the kitchen, I just like went with these green cabinets and stuff because I thought it would match well with I believe they had like green pieces around the counter, so I thought that like it would blend in a little bit better if I went with these green ones with like the wood countertops because like the at least the wood countertops look similar to the ones in the game. But yeah, I decided that I was just going to clutter it how I think it would look nice in The Sims. Most of the key elements is really just like with the placement of stuff. I did end up forgetting a fridge. I do go back and I put the fridge in, and I'm pretty sure there will be footage of that because I moved that barrel with the cookbooks, and that's where I end up putting the fridge. And so I sized down that barrel. I placed it somewhere else In this area, I kind of figured it's like cookbook spell area. There's just different books around, and I just wanted to fill up the space as much as I could. Because in my decorating in this game, in like Palia, you could put so much clutter everywhere and it's so pretty. And so I really wanted to make sure that some of the surfaces had that sort of vibe and how I would decorate in that game compared to The Sims. Um, yeah, so I have these little shelves now that I'm just placing plants around because I thought it made sense. There's no window, there's no light for those plants to grow. They could be magic plants, you never know. Yeah, that's where I'm like, oh, I need this fridge somewhere, and I didn't leave any space for it. And that was kind of like the best space that I could find for it was right over there. So it was pretty simple. I just kind of moved some things around and it ended up working out pretty okay. And then that's like pretty much the entire kitchen. And so I'm back in the living room, and this is when I start realizing I hate that rug. So I layered a rug over it because I wanted the little tassels on the side, but I didn't like the print of the rug for this room. So I layered it over with a fluffy rug. And then this is kind of my own thing. I thought it would look better if I had more plants around the walls hanging down. And I think that's what really makes it feel more whimsical in The Sims, as well as this wisteria around, which I also used on the outside to kind of give the feel of the wrapping branches around the columns and stuff because I thought that I was gonna place it in winter so it could kind of look like in the game, but I decided against it. I thought it looked fine with just having the wisteria around the place. I thought it like brought in enough of like the elements that I was going for, and that was okay. And so yeah, this is me changing out that whole stump. It looks a little bit messy, I will say, but I sized down the candles and I was like, "This is okay. I'm just dealing with it." I had tried to put, like, the blue mushrooms to look like the object that was in the game, but again, it was a struggle. The one thing I really do like is that basket of towels with the plants in it. I think that looks really, really nice, and I will probably do that again in my future builds that isn't related to Palia, and that's if I remember to do that, but I really like it because those towels in there are so bright. Like, I play with G Shade on, like, when I'm building, so it tones down a lot of, like, the vibrant colors, and without G Shade on, those towels are, like, neon green. So it really is nice to just, like, cover it with plants. I never thought to do that, but you had seen me do this before with this, dresser where I use that werewolves planter, and I make it seem like it is part of the dresser. I've done that before, like, I don't know, almost a year ago now in one of my, like, first couple speed builds, and so I knew that I was gonna do that again to kind of resemble the dresser that has, like, 3 different drawers with plants in it. It's just one long, draw. It gets to the point of it, I think. I end up really liking what I do with the shelves over in this corner. I just place a bunch of the message in a bottle objects from the wedding game pack, and I think it looks really, really nice as, like, potion bottles and stuff. The pack's completely broken, but the build buy items are really pretty because I really like the candle like, wall candles that come with it, which you'll see I use a lot in this build too. Like, I used them in the kitchen before. I do change the lighting in here too. I don't know if I show me doing the lighting too much because I didn't want to, like, I don't know. I feel like me switching between the lightings could get kind of annoying on the eye. So I cut out some of me doing the lighting, but as I go back and forth between each room, you'll kind of see how it looks with the lighting. And I do have screenshots at the end. I try to make my own sim that's supposed to resemble Tamala. I'm not the best at create a sim. I also rushed it and I should have like actually spent more time and looked for some CC for her, but I wasn't planning on putting her on the gallery. I just wanted a sim that kind of looked like her that I could add into the screenshots at the end. I did my best in, like, the half hour and create a sim that I dedicated to making the sim for it, and I really like the clutter over here, as you could, like if you remember before in that part where I kinda showed the, like, actual game, like, what I'm basing this off of, this room isn't laid out the same. I decided to just go with this layout instead. I thought that it was, like, reasonable enough. I felt like it was okay. And I really like all the different mixed clutter in that little area. It did take me a long time. And I believe that there were some windows scattered around, but I'm adding some in other places anyway because I thought it was strange to not have any windows in the kitchen. So I added some around, and this little area is so beautiful in Palia, but I kind of just went with making it as similar as I could. So there was a cauldron. It was a little bit bigger than those other ones that have the plants in it. It also has like a little tree growing out of it. So I layered different plant items that are in pots to put in the cauldrons, and I think it's really, really cool. And another thing I'm gonna have to do in some of my more witchy Sims builds that are just my own creation, because I think it's a great idea. And I end up using the one that's like the orange tree from like one of the Lunar New Year's events. It looks really, really cute in there. I also put it in that like metal bucket that's on the table too, and like just little plants. I decided to put some of the saplings in this basket because I thought it would look really cute. I don't know if that was supposed to be like similar to an item that was in this section of the house. It's hard to remember. I'm 26 minutes into this video, so I'm kind of just like, I'm just gonna have to guess and assume that some of these are just my own creation and not me trying to replicate something. There's also a lot of hanging plants in this area that are in like makeshift items that you could fish up in the game. And so like there's like colanders that have plants in it and stuff. It's like the furniture sets in that game is incredible, and it's just like I really wish that they were in The Sims, but it's not. Yeah, went back into that other area with the cauldrons to add more stuff in, just because I'm like figuring out what I like in this room. But yeah, all the candles were changed to like purples and blues because that's what it looks like in the game, and I thought that would be like enough to make it seem similar enough. And then this cauldron room, I sized down that swing set because it kind of looked like the object that holds wood, and it's not like perfect. If I really wanted it to, I would have had to stack up more wood around, but I just kind of went with that. It was simple enough. It gets, you get the idea from it. But that was also, I like that idea too. I feel like these are all little things that I could incorporate into my future builds whenever I do another witchy build again, which I'm sure will be soon. And then, of course, I had to have glowing green in the cauldron because that is what it looks like in the game, and that's why there's like the green coming out of the chimney and stuff. If I wish that there was more like sparkly effects. That's what like the outdoor retreat insects would have done. If I do take an interior like reel of this, or if I want to go back in and take new interior pictures, I'll play around with it and see, if it looks better, then I'll do that, but I'm not going to put pressure on myself because I've just been like, my mind has just been all over the place. But yeah, this is the bedroom where this is where I kind of did mostly my own thing in here because I didn't really like, I don't know, I just lost everything, I guess. But I feel like changing that couch out to the blue couch, even though there's the same one in each room, I think that's what really like made me like that living room. And I was like, yes, this is what one of those couches in the games looks like. I don't know what I was doing with the cream couch. It had to be that beautiful blue couch. And that's because I almost never use like blue furniture in The Sims, like ever. This The bedroom also feels like very separate atmosphere compared to the rest of the house because it is very like warm toned where the rest of the lighting is very cool toned. And I don't know if that was my choice or if that's what it looked like in the pictures that I was looking at, but I really just had to just go in and put all different things around. I had to move that like book pile because I didn't have a fireplace in this build, and I really needed it for the smoke for the images. So I believe that if you like download this from the gallery, there'll be a fireplace in this room. Also, there's a fire outside that I didn't even know of when I was like playtesting it, because I guess the like fire pit caught the rocks on fire in front of the house, and it was really easy to put out. but just know that that's a possibility of what could happen. Oh yeah, I also bought that like kitchen stuff pack. So I placed a couple of items from it. It really doesn't make or like break the build. It was just like one of the like dessert cooking clutter and then this cookbook because I thought it would look good over here, but it's really not necessary. Like if you don't have that stuff pack, I only use those two items from it and it really doesn't do too much. But I got excited because I decided to buy that and I feel like I bought something else. I don't know. I feel like I did buy something else. Did I not? I can't remember now, but I bought the stuff pack recently that I was gonna wait a long time, but I decided to treat myself to a stuff pack. And this is the outhouse that I was talking about, where I just had to make a new bathroom because there is no bathroom in the house. So you'll have your sim will have to come out here to bathe and stuff. And it had to be a little bit bigger than a normal outhouse because I wanted to fit a bathtub in there, and I have some, like, windows just so that it's not as, like, scary when you're in there. I really just, it's very simple. I use all the bathroom stuff you need. I have some candles. I use that, mirror from Werewolves that has the crystals on it because I thought it looked really pretty for this space. Yeah, there it is. And I placed, like, towels around. I was going to try and fit um, the fireplace in here, but I liked the towels, and I would have had to delete that to fit a fireplace in. But yeah, so that's pretty much the whole build. I just needed to connect it to the house by having some sort of steps or like the stepping stones, and I like extend the path over to it so it looks like it flows together and it wasn't an afterthought like it actually was. But yeah, these are the screenshots now. And there's my interpretation of Tamala in The Sims. Don't look at her for too long, it's not that good. But yeah, that's the whole video. It was definitely a time making this entire build. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll have another video out this week. It'll be an abandoned castle using the new castle kit. So yeah, thank you. Bye.